What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you here for another week of picks from every day we're covering, where we're into the Sweet 16 of the 2026 NCAA basketball tournament. Should have some juicy matchups on tap here for us. We're going to give you some picks day by day. So this is going to be your Thursday picks here for March 26th. And we'll just start it off from the top of tip time and go to the last game of the slate. SJ, though, this is when it gets juicy. You know you're going to get good matchups here. Every team that's made it this far is usually there for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it should be when you're filling out your bracket. Like, I don't know, I don't know which way to go because you could see it going either way, and then also at that point, you don't even know if the teams are going to be in. So at least we have the advantage of we know who's there, but it's still in a lot of these cases, man. It's you could see it going either way, and that's the good thing. That's what we want. You don't want this. I mean, I know there's still a lot of high seeds or better seeded teams left, but it doesn't seem too chalky, at least to me on paper.
Yeah, first one we're going to start with here is the 6-10 tip-off. Texas, maybe the surprise of the Sweet 16 as the 11 seed. Of course, were in a play-in game to start with, but they're going to be taking on the 2 seed Purdue. And SJ, what do you got looking at here?
That was honestly what I was thinking of when I saw this at Tech. That's got to be the surprise of the tournament with Texas coming in, and you win the play-in games, and you're like, oh, well, good job. You're probably going to lose the next one. Maybe you get one more. And they just honestly they've played better each game, which is surprising considering I mean, probably one of the least talked about teams across that conference. And we did the kind of looking back at the weekend with the audio podcast, and you mentioned the size, and that's kind of what they've been relying on. But I think in this instance, going up against the Purdue, they can match that size and then some. So that I think that would be the advantage. I'm going to go ahead and it's a little bit a little chunkier than I would probably like. 6.5 is where I played it at with Purdue, but I do think they'll be able to cover that just for the fact of that, like I said, they have the size advantage, and I do think as well as Texas played. I mean, they're almost better off in the situation if they played like again tonight, like Tuesday, only a day or two rest in between and just keep rolling. Purdue's going to have a few days here to scout them out, and I just think they're the better overall team. I'm a little nervous because as we've discussed in recent days, Purdue's one of those teams that always seems to kind of let you down there, like Gonzaga we mentioned a couple days back. So I'm going to go ahead and pick them cover. I just think Texas is probably out of gas, and they've kind of played above their skis, and eventually that always comes to an end with these postseason runs. But either way, even if go down, that's still a pretty good showing for them. I just think it's a little bit too much in this round.
Well, I'm gonna play the counter card here, and I'm gonna go with Texas. I did get it a little higher number too, so that helps. Plus 7.5.
Oh,
So getting 7.5, it's a whole point different than where you're playing it, which honestly, in my opinion, makes a big difference because 6 is kind of one of those common spreads really when you get in that range. So I don't know. I'm kind of a mixture of what you were worried about. I think that Purdue at some point is going to play underperform. They've kind of performed where people thought they should, I think, to this point. And I think at some point they're going to underperform. And I still don't think they're going to lose the game by any means. I still think they're going to win and move on. But given that many points against a team that seems to be on a little bit of a roll and has, a really strong inside presence there with Voka Titus. I know that Purdue's got some guys that can, mess him up a little bit, but man, he's been on. He's got the touch going right now. So I think they keep it interesting here in this opening game. So I'm going to take Texas getting the 7.5 as a chance to stay a little bit closer in that one.
Hey, they can lose by 7, and we'll both be happy. So
there you go.
Let's go that route. Yeah.
Perfect. We got a number to land on here. I'm going to go. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Obviously, this is a game you're going to be locked into. 6:30 tip time as Nebraska will take on Iowa. I mean, first off, who would have thunk it? We're going to get this Big Ten matchup here in the Sweet 16. But yeah, both earned their way to the spot. I mean, obviously a thrilling game for Nebraska there over Vandy. Iowa with a heck of a game plan. They did what they needed to do against Florida and slowed them down and made it a little bit not their game and ultimately got a chance to hit a shot to win it, and they did it there at the end. So this is interesting. The spread right now, I mean, the experts pretty much think this is a toss-up, I guess, because I'm seeing it at 1.5 as the number. And then the total that's where I'm going to go. I don't know. I certainly think Nebraska has the edge in this game, and I expect them to win this game because I think they have the better, experience across the board. When it comes to the guys that you're going to rely on in something like this, and of course, familiar opponent. They know what to do against this Iowa team. They know how they're going to attack them, and I do like Fred Hoiberg in these types of situations. But I'll go with the total because I think it will be one that slows down a touch. And it's 132 and a half, which, may not seem like a huge number, but honestly, that's where Iowa's been playing it. That's where they're going to stay probably in that 60 some range. I don't expect it to be a lot lower than that, but I think it's going to stay under that. So that's where I'm going to go with this one. SJ, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that total catches your eye for sure because that's one thing I saw. But it's trying to just try to look at it a open-minded perspective, and I think it makes it a little tricky having played twice, and the fact it's a common opponent and also a team that you don't really like, so you try to block that out because I think if you just had a team named whatever, like if they were named, if it was it was Memphis and it was the same exact roster but had a different jersey on, I think if you looked at both rosters and if you have to favor Nebraska, and it'd be bigger than a point and a half. It's just the fact that it's a familiar opponent and they played well in one instance. The other instance should have been a double-digit win, but there was a little bit of a puckering down the stretch there that kind of led to that even getting to overtime. That should no business getting there. So I think it's probably going to play out more like the second game. First game was kind of that was a I guess catch a team at the right time type of thing. Matt's had been going through his struggles. Frager was still battering back from that foot injury, and that's kind of maybe to me would be the difference is Frager. If he can get to the hoop against the likes of a Vanderbilt, I like him slashing in the lane and making some big plays and kind of picking up some of the offensive slack. So I'll take that point and a half. I don't think it'll be. There may be some tense times, of course. It is the Sweet 16, but I think it'll be a pretty comfortable victory. With a couple of scores and maybe even hit that double-digit mark like last time.
All right, so that's what we got there in the early portion of the evening on Thursday. We'll move on to the later window, 8:45 tip time out in the west bracket as Arizona, the top seed, will take on the 4 Arkansas. So according to seed in that matchup, and right now I'm seeing it as Arizona laying 7.5, the total at 166.5. SJ, what did you play in this one?
Yeah, that's kind of some crazy things that catch your eye there. And again, with that line being that big, and this, by far, I think Arizona is the better team. It's just that's even with like Purdue, I felt more comfortable just because Texas is on borrowed time in my mind, but Arkansas has looked pretty strong here in the couple games that they've had. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably stay away from that line. That total, I know these teams are offensive minded and can put up some points, but 166.5, like that's crazy to me. I'm gonna go ahead and play safe and go the unders on that route because I think Arizona should win and I think they will win. But I do think they'll probably have to take the pace out of the game a little bit. Not too much because they can put it up as well. But if Arkansas, the path to victory for them is a 90 whatever, 90 to 85, 90, something like that, really high score, 90, 88. So Arizona, they're going to not, I wouldn't say like, it's not going to be like an Iowa slow it down type thing, but they're definitely going to, cut the possessions down as much as possible. And especially to me also, it's, the offense is cooking the first 2 rounds because you have unfamiliar opponents. And especially on the second game, you've got 2 teams that you're preparing for without really knowing who you're going to play. And so that makes it difficult. Now you've had, a few days here to look at them. And in some cases, maybe a team you've played in a preseason tournament or have seen in the past or just familiar with their coaching staff, or maybe had a transfer that played for you and is now playing for them. All those kind of things play in. So I think here is you get more of a true sense of who the better team is, which like I said, I think it is Arizona. That's just a little high. I'd be like a 5, give me 5 points. I'll take that, something like that. But having to win by 8 seems a little bit much when, we see how these games go all the time in March. So I'll take under that total. And I guess if I'd pick Arizona, but I'm just going to be heavy on that total instead on the unders.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Immediately when I saw that number, I was like, "Wow, that's a lot of points to expect teams to get to." Not that it's out of the realm of possibilities, but
Yeah.
to set the bar there, it just seems wild to me. Especially like you said, because you get good teams like this that they're effective offensively, but they're also very good at then slowing the other team down and trying to neutralize maybe their star players. Whereas, this is a perfect setup scenario, I think, for Arizona to do exactly what you said, because I think they know they can win in the half court. against this Arkansas team. You know, if they set it up, they can run offense either way. So yeah, I think the Arizona will try to maybe just, you know, tone it down a touch, and use their defense too to be a factor here in this one. Again, yeah, I think I agree with you. That line is kind of weird spot. You know, if it was a little bit lower, I'd really pick Arizona, but you know, we saw them struggle a little bit last round against Utah State. So I don't think that they're, you know, one to rely on winning huge either. So, but I do think they're going to win the game, but I'm going to go with that under as well. 166.5 is a lot of points. So I'll play that under pretty hard. The last one of the night at 9:05 tip time will be Houston playing in their hometown against Illinois. 2-3 matchup. Houston right now a 3.5 point favorite. The total is at 140.5. And I'm going to go, I guess, just sticking with what I thought here before the tournament began. And I think it's just low enough. If this was any higher, I wouldn't go this way, but I think Houston covers. I think they're the better team overall. They've got some more weapons out there. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders so far here in this tournament. They really haven't been tested yet, which, you know, you could argue that's a bad thing in the other direction. Illinois is very talented. Don't get me wrong. They've got some great players, but I just think those guards are so good for Houston, and they shoot free throws well. So if it comes down to them hanging on to the game at the end, I think they do that and they win by that margin, just barely. But I'm going to take Houston laying that 3.5.
Well, I think we might have a wacky ending to that first night of the Sweet 16 here. I mean, kind of caught my eye was that 3.5 number being at home in a Sweet 16. So basically, it's like you're not really getting any type of
nothing really.
we don't feel very confident in this as far as the bookmakers go. So that caught my eye first, and what's stuck in my mind when you're kind of thinking about throughout the season and all years. I just remember I mean, I haven't seen them as often as you being in a different conference, but a lot of times I watch Houston play, just the struggle for them to put points on the board is something that just it doesn't happen every game, but there's been enough times where I'm like, I just don't feel confident that they can do that. And it's more about Illinois having the ability to shoot the three and just have some a few more some offensive playmakers. Now the defense of Houston's that's no joke. So that's Illinois is going to have to overcome a lot, but it's going to have to kind of be how it's, you know, talking to Arkansas wants to, you know, go. It's going to be the same thing. Illinois is going to have to get in the high 80s, you know, maybe even touch 90 for this to happen. But if they get hot and get the right, you know, kind of get the momentum going early, take the crowd. And I don't know what kind of crowd it's going to be. I know there's a lot, you know, it's in their town, but I don't know I just don't know. Like you see them at the Big 12 and stuff. You don't. Besides a billboard here or there, you just don't see like a huge traveling fan base for this team. And I don't know. I mean, they're a great program. I don't maybe they just don't have the alumni base or whatever. But and you know, there's also the I guess the kind of the unknown of how many Nebraska fans will show up down there as what did in Oklahoma City. So that could snatch up some tickets too. So either way, I think Illinois could. I'm going to go ahead and go pull the upset. It's a plus 140 money line straight up win. So let's have a little, you know, maybe have a little fun here and. Could be all Big 10 regional final if this happens, obviously, with, you know, either Nebraska or Iowa on the other side.
Yeah. All right, so we're mixing it up a little bit there for you on this first night of the Sweet 16. Make sure that you are locked in here, of course, on this channel. Like, subscribe, get the notifications on the YouTube channel. We'd love it if you do the same for the podcast, available on all the major platforms, including our host at Spotify. Just search Every Day We're Covering, you'll find us. And then, of course, follow us on Twitter. You see the handles there. Follow along. We have put out, of course, other picks as we go along here and just, tweet form here and there. And then we also just put out the Parched Madness bracket. So get in there and vote for your favorite beers as well. We want you to do that and have some fun with that also. But hopefully these picks will help you have some fun on Thursday night. Be on the lookout. We'll have another video coming up for you for the Friday night picks. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another round of picks here from Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.